Hello and welcome to PAXTON Road TV. I am Sam Spurs for Life, and this is your PAXTON Road TV preview show for tomorrow's game, Burnley versus Tottenham Hotspur at Turf Moor. I'm joined in the house by Mike Hotspur Hustler, Darius 3K, in the house to preview the show for us today. But before we start, make sure you hit that like button, smash, subscribe, all the rest of it. Share this content as well. Make sure you do. Put some comments in the comment section below, and we'll endeavour to get through to you on the comments. And breathe. Welcome, Mike. Welcome, Darius. And yeah, the morning after, the night before, after the day before that, you know what I'm talking about. Darius, how are you doing? How are you feeling after the weekend's festivities? And a lot of people are saying that we're going over the top with the celebrations, but I don't care. I'm not really bothered.
Never do I.
I've watched the game and it's brilliant. There's some really good football in there, and I think it was a well executed strategy and plan. Is that the Tottenham that you want to see going forward from now on?
I think the best thing for me was like you said, game plan. I actually don't really care how Tottenham play, to be honest with you. I know I sort of before would mention that I do like to watch good football, but to be honest with you, at the end of the day, Tottenham needs winning football. And if you've got a game plan for Pep and it's completely different for, like, for example, the game plan tomorrow, I couldn't care less how we played. And it was the right game plan for the right guy, for the right team. And it was executed perfectly. And to be fair, like you said, the football was even very, very, very impressive against the Man City team. I mean, Conte even uploaded, I don't know if you saw on Conte's Instagram, but he even uploaded sort of, like, I think it was mentioned as sort of like them playing counter-attack football. And he was like, what are you talking about, counter-attack football? Because the first goal was completely the opposite of counter-attack football. I mean, not much better build-up you can get from that first goal. So I just think that the game plan was perfect. Certain individuals who, again, haven't been great. For example, I'd say Harry Kane for the start of the season wasn't great, wasn't even good in my opinion, is now back to his best, even better in my opinion. Is one of the best performances I've seen him play ever in a Spurs shirt, and that says something because he's had a lot of good performances. So there's so much to take away from it, so many positives to take away from it. It's just, I mean, you can. I'm pretty sure you could probably count on your hands how many teams have done the double against this sort of iteration of City, and I don't think it's many teams. And I remember Wolves doing it, I think maybe last season or the season before. And then before then, I can't think of any other teams that really did a double over City. So it's something to really do, sort of get excited and proud of, and something to be proud of, because it's a very big achievement. But like people say, you don't win a trophy from it. We haven't got top four from it. So we still do have to sort of take the games on sort of game by game. And I do understand that. But I do think that you can sort of, you know, celebrate this achievement, because a double against City, the form that they're in as well. I think they've only lost 2 games out of the 21 before they played us. So I think it's very impressive. I'm still going to be gassing us up until City beat us 5-0 again. So yeah, no, I'm very happy with the performance.
Which won't happen this season.
It's not going to happen, exactly. Maybe in the FA Cup, but hopefully we don't get them until the final.
Hopefully not. Well, City were unbeaten up to that point in the league from October. So, you know, they'd gone, I can't remember what their winning streak was. It was a whole lot of games. Mike, a great performance against City. As we know, it's always about the next game. What do you think this has done for the belief for the team going forward now? Because we've got a completely different game tomorrow against Burnley. It'll be a very different tactical approach. But what do you think it's done for the belief for the players that are, you know, for some of them? I think not all of them. You know, the likes of Harry Kane, I think the belief's always there. Son, Luis always believe in their abilities. But, you know, some of the younger players, likes of Sessegnon, you know, who's just come into the team recently. Bentancur, Kulusevski, new players have just come to. What do you think this has done for the overall belief of those top players?
You'd hope the belief and the confidence that from the performance and from the result that they got against Man City, you'd hope that instill like massive confidence in the players ahead for Burnley. I mean, if you can't get confidence from beating Man City, not just beating Man City, but the manner in which we beat them and putting 3 past them, and if you can't sort of what's the word I'm looking for? If you can't sort of take that forward into a game which on paper technically should be easier than the Man City game, but I know given the fact that Burnley are fighting for their lives. It's going to
and
be
they're in form as well, to be fair.
Yeah, they are.
They're actually in very good form at the moment.
And it's going to be a different kettle of fish on the pitch, but still, you'd still hope that those players taking what you can from the Man City game into Burnley, you'd hope that the players would be buzzing. If you can't be confident or take confidence from the Man City game and the performance and the manner in you beat them, if you can't take that forward in like not just against Burnley, but against we've got Leeds after that, and then we've got Everton I think after that, haven't we? So if you can't take that forward, then there's it's football.
I think, like you said, I think, Mike, the most important thing, like you said, I think the performance is so important. And to beat City, obviously, even if we were to have 10% possession, one shot, and score that one goal and win, I don't think any of us would care. But I think Conte mentioned something in the press conference, and I haven't watched it in full, and a lot of people have sort of said this is a very, very sort of, not groundbreaking press conference, but a very insightful press conference. And he said something that was a quote that a lot of the media sort of used, and it was consistency is fundamental. And I do believe that as soon as this team sort of reaches that consistency level where they're performing to that level on a weekly basis, I do actually believe that not necessarily there's a massive rebuild that needs to be done, but I do think that if you can get consistency with these players, you might not need to sort of necessarily dissect the team completely like a lot of people think, because I just think a lot of these players have good games on and off. Like Winks might have a good game and then have 2 or 3 bad games. If Winks to have 3 very, very good games and then 1 maybe not as good game, I think that would make him look a lot better than he is. So I just think consistency is the most important thing.
I think with some of the players, they've probably been inconsistent because again, it's all they haven't had. Game time? Again, it's the coaching time. They had a whole week to prepare. When you see that, you could see that was a whole week. Now, from Saturday to tomorrow's game, they would have had, one day where they would have had to rest. They would have had another day warm down. So they would have only probably got onto the training pitch today, in effect, maybe a bit of yesterday, potentially. So there's not going to be much time. So when you've got a whole week, you could see that whole preparation was there. And the fact that the players that came in, Bentancur and Kulusevski, they really put an effort level in. They regardless of how they played, their effort levels were there. So that sort of belief in me, that shows to me that the other players who are now maybe on the fringes can say, like the likes of Winks, hold on a minute, this guy's come in and he's performing at this level and he's giving this effort. Hopefully that will make them do the same thing. They're always going to be limited by their ability, but I think we've just increased the level with the players that have got that bit of desire, like Kulusevski and Bentancur.
You know what it is, Sam, as well? You mentioned about Kulusevski and Bentancur sort of like seamlessly coming into the team. Somebody mentioned on Twitter, and I think it's a massive, massive, massive sort of factor to consider, is when you have Lo Celso and Ndombele and whoever else it was, so even you can even put Sessegnon into that. These players came in and they couldn't actually complete a 90 when they came into the squad. They needed sort of a manager like Conte, because Nuno wasn't really teaching. I know the fitness improved under Nuno, but again, these players still weren't completing 90s. When you have like 2 players who can come in straight away, join your team and complete 90 minutes to a high level, then I think that makes a massive difference in sort of how you can play them, because if he knows he can rely on them for the 90 minutes, especially Bentancur, then he can throw him in straight away. And I'd rather throw in Bentancur straight away than play Winks and Højbjerg in that game yesterday, or the other day, because I genuinely think it would have made a difference if he didn't play. I don't think we would have won the game if he didn't play.
I think with Bentancur, I think you can see already that Conte can rely on him. He looks like a typical Conte player, doesn't he? The fact that he's just come in and he's slotted straight in, and you wouldn't even think that he's a new player. That to me just suggests that is the type of player that Conte wants.
And as well as that, Mike, is his work rate. I think the stats showed that he ran the most of all the players, certainly for the Spurs players, on the match on Saturday. And for a player to come in, maybe his second start,
control of the game as well.
Do you know what I mean? I think that shows the work rate, and that's what Conte wants, really. Players who are going to run through big walls per se to maintain it. So what do you think they would have to do differently that they did against maybe let's answer this question first that Sean sent in. I'll ask you, Mike. And the question is, will those who did not play on Saturday have the same confidence as those who did play? What do you think?
Who's that to? Me?
You Hotspur hustler.
Yeah, I think it instilled confidence throughout the whole squad. it's a team game at the end of the day, isn't it? So it's not just about the 11 that are on the pitch. It's about the, I don't know, 7 or 8 subs. It's a squad game, and I think those players that are on the sides, they have to be prepared mentally to come on and do a job. So I think it would instill confidence throughout the whole squad. And you can see, like, when I can't remember what goal it was, when Spurs had scored, Conte's gone mad, and Joe Rodon's already stood up waiting to congratulate, like, not congratulate, but to celebrate. And then and so you can see, whatever Conte's done, I think he's instilled it. It's a squad. I don't feel like it's 11 players, then you've got a separate team of subs. It comes across that they're all part of the same one team sort of ethos, and that's how it should be. Because, as I say, those subs, they could be called on at any moment. You saw it. When was it? Was it Southampton game when Session came off after 25 minutes? Got hooked.
Was it the Wolves game? Or was it Southampton?
I can't remember. It was Wolves. It was Wolves. I think it was Wolves.
Game. So it was
yeah. Sorry, it was Wolves. And he got hooked after 25 minutes. So these players have got to be prepared, because Conte's not messing about, is he? If he sees something that's not working, it wasn't necessarily Session's fault that he got hooked, but for tactical reasons,
in the interview, that's
Conte will do what he's got to do.
Said. Conte said exactly that, Mark. He was saying, because he mentioned about Session, I think he was obviously trying to give the whole team, whole squad praise. And
he did 4 at the back, didn't we? Is that when he changed it to 4 at the back? Sorry, when he brought up Session. Yeah.
And what he said about Session, he thinks that this player's got the real potential for England as well as Spurs. And the reason he took him off for the Wolves game was a tactical one. So he's publicly saying why he's done that, which helps with obviously the performance of Session, because he's performed well against the big teams, the Liverpools and the Cities. So, if you similar to what Tanganga did when he first came into this team, he played well against the likes of Liverpool, he played well against City. You've got to try and keep them on that level, but not, gas them up too much. I'm not sure if, the player that Session looks like he needs a lot of confidence anyway. So I think he's going to manage him really well. I hope he does.
You know what I think as well? Sorry to interrupt you, but I also think that it's a sign of a very, very good. It separates the elite managers from the good managers when you can manage a squad, and not necessarily everybody doesn't have to be happy, but everybody is pulling in the same direction. That's why I see it in City all the time. City, everybody might not be happy, and you can see that people like Torres who have left, and Bernardo who was going to leave, and all these players who they want to play, but Pep will be able to convince them that they have an important role in the team, even if they're not playing week in, week out. And he also reassures them that if they train well and they take their chance in the game well, they will sort of displace anybody in that team. I mean, De Bruyne has been dropped, Gundogan has been dropped, Sterling has been dropped. Anyone can get dropped in that team. I think you need to sort of have the same approach with Spurs. As much as obviously Conte has come out and basically said Harry Kane will play even if he has one leg. I think any manager will say that about Kane and Son. I still do think that you have to let everyone in the squad know that your performance comes first. And if you don't play well, you shouldn't just automatically be sort of given a starting lineup, which is why I'm happy to see Session and Reguilon both battling out. I think you mentioned that, Sam, in our group chat, that Session and Reguilon are both battling out, and that's only going to improve them because they're going to want to start and they're going to want to play. But at the same time, they both do understand that there's one goal that everybody should be sort of striving towards. So I think it's working. I do think it looks like everybody's on the same page and wants to succeed. And hopefully, like I said, with a few more players, I think you can. And I still am torn on January because I'm thinking that the players who were here before January were sort of dampening the mood of the team. But then at the same time, are the numbers important? Because I can just see that a couple injuries in that midfield and it could unravel very, very quickly. So I'm still torn on January as well. I still don't know what January, if January helped us or hindered us.
It does depend though, doesn't it? Like a lot of it will boil down to how Conte manages the players in terms of their fitness. So like Romero, Dyer have just come back from injuries. Bentancur, he's just come into the squad.
But that's what scares me. For example, like Romero and Dyer came straight back into the team because they are so incredibly important to our team. I don't want something bad to happen. If something, like I said, you can't help a crisis, but if something does happen to one of our main players, it's not like we're a City or a Chelsea where the drop off in quality isn't that bad. If we lose one of those big players, we will significant. We won't be able to play the same football that we play. That's basically the point.
Conte alluded to that in the press conference today. He said he wants, because the two players that are not going to be available for tomorrow is Skip and Tanganga. Obviously, we know what his thoughts are about Skip. He did say once everybody's back fit, it will allow him. What he's now got is, and what he said was that everybody's got the same sort of attitude. Everybody wants to play. I think that's what he kind of said. But as well as that, now, if everybody's fit, he has the opportunity to be able to rotate. He's seen now that Bentancur, Kulusevski can come in, and you've got the likes of Moura now and Bergwijn who can play that same position. I guess in the midfield you've got Bentancur who can now clearly play with Højbjerg, but you still got Skip, possibly even Winks to come in. So there's
I think Harvey White might have an opportunity towards the end of the season as well.
Potentially, but I'm not. I think
depends.
That might be taking
injuries given.
I think it'd be a risk to start playing Harvey White now because he's coming down to the crunch end of the season, and you're really going to need players who can perform at this level now.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's just have a look at.
We haven't even spoke about Burnley.
I know, and this is what I want to do. So, just in terms of where we are in the table, so the table: City 63 points, Liverpool 57 points, haven't played 25 games. Let's look in and around where we are for the important bits. So, Manchester United haven't played 26 games and now on 46 points. West Ham 26 games on 42 points. Arsenal 23 games on 42 points. Wolves 24 games on 40. We have played 23 games on 39. So 7 points difference between us and the top four, but 3 games in hand. For Burnley, they are down in 19th place, 17 points on the board. Not the greatest form at the moment, but we'll see what in terms of their games, what they're going to be, how they might come against us tomorrow. But what I wanted to ask is, how do you think this fixture is going to sit in Burnley's battle for survival? Will they see this game as a game that they want to get 3 points from, or will they maybe, because it's Tottenham and our record's pretty good against Burnley, do you think their approach might be a game of, they want to just get away with maybe a tighter game and maybe nick it somewhat, or are they going to come gung-ho? What's your thoughts on that, Darius?
I'm just looking at the table right now. I didn't realize how bad Leeds and Everton's situation was.
Oh, they're terrible. Yeah.
Didn't realize how bad that situation was.
They're our next 2 games as well.
And that's our next 2 games, which is
nasty.
It kind of worries me, but also sort of the way Leeds played against United. If they do that against us, we'll beat them 6-7-0, honest to God. But on Burnley, weirdly, for some weird reason, I've actually watched a few of Burnley's games in these sort of past 5 games. And they play better than their results sort of show, if you know what I mean.
I agree.
Dealt with Brighton very, very, very comfortably. And that's something to say in my opinion, because I think Brighton are a very underrated team. I mean, look where Brighton are in the table. I don't think it's a big thing to say that that's quite a big result, a 3-0 against Brighton. I think that's a very, very good result. It's the individuals in the team. I think we have to man mark Wout Weghorst and Maxwell Cornet. They're both they're gonna play 4-4-2. That's gonna be the hardest thing. You're gonna have to put Dyer on Weghorst, and it's gonna be a challenge because he's a big guy. He's 6 foot 6'6", I think, 6'5". Yeah. He's very, very technical. He's good on the ball. He's good in the air. And then you've got somebody quick like Cornet sort of in behind him. I think it's going to be up to the defense to sort of do a very good job in containing those players. If we do contain those players, I don't fear sort of us going forward at all. I think that Conte is now made me a lot more confident to sort of think that we could score 3 goals in a game now. So for me, it's Weghorst and Cornet up front that I'm most.
We're going to come to some of the fixtures, but I just want to ask, how do you think Burnley's approach is? Do you think that they're going to be attack, or are they going to have to play within themselves to try and get a result? Because they are in trouble, being 19th. Yeah, they are in trouble. But they have played 2 games less than the others around them.
If they've watched, which I'm sure they have, if they watched the Spurs Man City game, Burnley won't want to be going gung-ho against us because they know that if we can do what we did against Man City's backline, then we could easily open up Burnley's backline. So I think they're going to be a little bit cautious. I wouldn't be surprised if Burnley would be happy just to set up shop for a draw. I know I know they're at home, but I think they'd be a little bit worried about what they saw in terms of how Man City came at us, and we were able to pick them. If you look at those goals, we did pick City apart like that. Was it Kulu's goal, the first goal, what is it? 3 passes, and we opened up City.
Was it Romero to Davis, Davis to Kane, Kane to Son, and then goal? Wasn't it? Literally 3 passes.
It was something. It was literally 3, less than a handful of passes, and we opened up C. Burnley, they're not going to want that heat. They're gonna, they ain't going to want that heat. Let's be honest. So I think they're going to be quite cautious. I do think that if Rodon's going to feature, tomorrow could be the game that he features. And the reason I think that is just because you got the 2 Burnley players. What, they're both over 6 foot, aren't they? Certainly,
Weghorst is about 6'6", isn't
he? I think he's an absolute unit, and I'm sure both of them are over 6 foot. I think Davis, they might think Burnley's pace, I don't think is going to be too much of an issue compared to
Dwight Neal.
Compared to Steve's.
Is it Dwight Neal? Dwight Neal.
Dwight Neal.
And then they've got, what's his name? The guy on the left hand.
They've got Cornet up front. They play 4-4-2 basically. Yeah, they play McNeil, Cornet, and Veghorst. Well, McNeil's. I don't know who plays on the right, because basically, I think that it basically Burnley just are now got a better version of the style that they played, because Veghorst is technical on the ball as well, but he's also 6'5". So I actually think the quality of Burnley's improved significantly. It's just we don't, like I said, I'm just looking at the stats of these games now. We've conceded 2 goals in the last 5 games. Like, that's concerning, and that for me is the main concern for us. It's not going forward anymore. We can create attacks now from nothing. It's defense. Look at that. Conceded 2 goals, 10 goals, 11 goals in.
So that's what I'm saying.
Games. That's concerning.
And I'm going to show you Burnley's form in a minute. But ours scored 8, conceded 11. You know, you could look at it as being, well, that means we're more attacking. But obviously, the 2 games that really caused us a problem was those ones, you know, at home where we should have had a different results against Southampton and Wolves if the performances were better.
But we didn't. But we were missing. And I put this back. I said this before the. Did I say it before Man City game or after Man City game? The biggest person, the biggest impact for us was having Dyer back, because
100%.
I don't feel that we would have. I don't feel we would have lost against Wolves and Southampton if Dyer was back in that side alongside Romero. And B, I don't think we would have conceded anywhere near the amount of goals that we had in those 2 games as a total. Mm-hmm. Man City, we conceded 2 goals, but I don't think that was the back line's fault. One was a penalty, and the other was a mistake from Lloris. So the mistakes from that back line compared to when we had Sanchez in there, I thought they were vastly reduced. Almost, you could argue, was there actually any mistakes from that back line? Maybe Romero diving in for the penalty.
I don't think in any of these 4 games, the ones obviously from the Wolves downwards, that Dyer was involved in any of those 4 games.
He wasn't.
Unless, Leicester game. Was he involved?
He was in the Leicester game.
Yeah, but that wasn't
in the Leicester game.
That wasn't this year, was it?
I can't remember. I think he was, because he came back for a game and then he went out again, which was a bit.
Pretty sure. I'll double check if he was involved.
Have a look. But anyway, I think that as you mentioned, Mike, and both you as well, Gary, so Dyer coming back into that back line, the organisation, because I've watched the game a couple of times now, and I've seen the organisation difference between that.
No, he wasn't. Sorry, Sam. He wasn't playing in that Leicester game. He hasn't played all those games.
So that tends to me to lead to believe to, you know, some of them score lines where the goals are going against. I think that's going to change. You know, City, you expect to concede a lot of the ball and probably a lot of goals as well. But the fact that we got 3 goals shows that we've got at least the attacking intent. Just going in to look at what Burnley have done, though, you know, in their last 5 games, you know, it's almost the complete opposite. You know, they've had that good 3-0 victory against Brighton, lost narrowly to Liverpool at Turf Moor, but again,
did well against United.
3 draws before that. You know, Burnley versus United 1-1, Burnley versus Watford 0-0, and then the game at the Emirates, which is 0-0 as well. Conceded 2 goals, scored only 4. So I'm looking at that and thinking it's going to be tight. And 1 goal may be enough 100%. To even win this game tomorrow. What are you expecting to see from Spurs then in terms of a strategy for Burnley game, Mike?
It's a. It's
Do you think they're going to go? Are they going to want to have, you know, the majority of the ball, which I think they will want to? And is it going to be a case of patience, or are they going to, you know? Because I don't know if they're going to have opportunities to counterattack. Although Conte did say not a lot of his work was counterattack; it was more trying to find the spaces. Are Burnley going to allow us to have them spaces to find?
This is what I think we're going to have to be patient against Burnley. I think it's going to be. The thing they can't allow is themselves to be frustrated. But I do feel that Burnley are going to set up shop to frustrate us. I don't reckon they're going to give us the pockets of space that Man City allowed us. I know they've gone 4-4-2.
Aaron Lennon's been playing on the right hand side.
Yeah, I just saw. I was just saying
Lennon's playing on the right hand side.
In the last game as well. He scored
a very good goal. Yeah, it's a very good goal, to be fair.
But if, and I go back to this, but if Burnley, what they've got to work out, and this is whether their defenders and midfielders are intelligent enough, is where Man City didn't have an answer for Kane dropping into that pocket, and it just gave him, should I say, the absolute freedom to pick passes at pleasure. Will Burnley's defence be smart enough to think, do I go with him or do I back off? If I back off, we're going to get hurt. But if I go to him, you've got that potential of still getting hurt because Kane is 1 or 2 steps ahead of the defence. So it's good. And I think the Burnley, if I remember rightly, Burnley's pitch is quite compact, isn't it? I think it's smaller than what Man City's is.
It's not going to be bigger than Man City.
Yeah, so it's going to be, and that will suit Burnley. Where I go back to that point of they're not going to allow us to have the pockets of space to hurt them. There isn't probably going to be those pockets of space because it's a narrower and slightly smaller pitch. So I think Spurs are going to have, if we go to set up that we want more of the ball, we're going to have to be patient with our build-up play. But also, I say be patient, but we're also going to have to be a bit quicker on the ball. Because if we just sit there and dawdle on the ball, Burnley will be happy just to let us play in front of them. Any back line is going to be happy if the ball's being played about in front of them rather than in behind them or in and around them. It's easy to defend when it's in front of you. So, and then for Burnley, I think they're just going to try and counter us. Ball up to the top for Weghorst and him as the target man, which is what it has been, and rightly so, given the size of him.
He is fantastic player. I still can't believe they actually sold Chris Wood and it upgraded him for cheaper. It is an amazing deal, to be fair.
Well, they had no choice with the Chris Wood. Chris Wood's
it was release clause, wasn't it?
Release clause was a match. What I think with Burnley though is they probably had someone identified and they went after him. So that's the difference. Their scouting was pretty good, and I think the way they've done their business, because I don't think they wanted to lose Chris Wood. I don't think they would have changed him,
especially
had they not
to a
had
relegation rival as well.
100%.
For £12 million, wouldn't you have gone for him?
That's the thing. I'm not sure why we haven't.
Been screaming this for the longest. I mean, his stats in the Bundesliga for Wolfsburg, he scored a goal every other game, and I mean,
but that's your plan B. If plan A is not working, he's your plan B, isn't he?
And he's good on the ball as well.
He's good on the ball.
He's actually good on the ball.
So I was going to ask this question of you then, Darren, because I look at the last 5 matches versus Burnley. Going from the top, Burnley to Tottenham Hotspur. Well, that was the last time we lost to Burnley in the league. Back in February 2019. Since then, 5-0. That was at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. 1-1 draw back in March 2020. 0-1 back in October 2020. Last game that we played at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, 4-0. If we just look at the actual results away from home, again, pretty decent from Spurs. Lost 1 game in 5. The last game we played against them, again, 0-1. At Turf Moor. So we've got a pretty decent record. What will Burnley be targeting in terms of weaknesses against Spurs? Because what I'm concerned about tomorrow, as I think we've mentioned, if they are going to go, and I think they will go airily, I think they're going to try and get crosses in. 100%. They're going to get McNeil on one side, Aaron on the other side, and they're going to try and get crosses in. They're going to use the set pieces a lot. So we're going to have to be very, very mindful about that. Hence the reason why we're going to need some sort of steal in that middle when them crosses coming in. Dyer, Romero, I think they can do that. Davies has always been a little bit susceptible to height and crosses anyway.
He's who you target.
That's what I'm saying.
Just about to
if I was
that.
Burnley, I'd put Verkhorst on Davis, and I'd be like, right, ping the ball to me, and I'll be stood on Davis. And 9 times out of Davis isn't going to win a header against him. Never in a million years.
That's where the mismatch will be if they do that.
Exactly that, and that's why I think Rodon. You could see Rodon coming in just for that aerial.
I don't think Conte trusts him.
So hold on then, because what I saw, and this is what my concern is potentially, it appears that the replacement for Davis on that left-hand side may be Sanchez. I don't think Sanchez should play on that left-hand side. The reason I say that is because he came on late on Saturday in place of, I think when he changed Sessegnon and put Davis to the left, he then brought Sanchez on. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. I'd rather see. I
don't want to see him I don't want to see him anywhere near the front 11, first 11 at the moment. Not until he's got some confidence back. Because if he plays, I'm nervous, massively nervous. I just don't have any faith in him.
I'll tell you what then. Let's talk about the starting 11. Mike, what would you make any changes to the starting 11 from Saturday? Injuries apart. And I think what Conte mentioned that Reguilon's now back in training or potentially available because of the COVID situation. The only 2 players that are missing are Skip and Tango, as I've mentioned. Do you anticipate any changes to the lineup for tomorrow? I know we talked about the Davis thing because I think that should be a change.
That's my only change. If everyone's fit, that would be potentially the only change I would make. I just feel with Burnley's physical presence up top and the fact they're going to go hot, they're going to go aerially. That's going to be their main threat. I just worry that they'll just target him, and that's what you would do. Why wouldn't you? I mean, Romero's good in the air, Dyer's good in the air. Davis can head a ball, but he isn't tall, is he? He's quite small for a sort of left centre back. Yeah, he'd be my change if I had to make one. I know he hasn't played. Has he played? He's played maybe 1 game. Is it that he's come on as a sub in the league?
I don't remember him starting.
I think it was against Palace. He came on against Palace, didn't he? When we went down to 10 men when Tanganga came off, I think he came on, didn't he? Or I can't remember if he started or came on, but he definitely played that game. But I probably. I would probably play him, but if the height is going to be an issue and Conte thinks, from a physical perspective as well as a height perspective, that's going to be an issue for Davis, then perhaps would you play him at left wing back? I don't know.
Who at left wing back?
Davis.
No. Not against Aaron Lennon. No.
Aaron Lennon's an old boy now, isn't he?
I know, but even Aaron Lennon is an old boy, still quicker than Davis. I'm not having that.
I was going to say, I still think Aaron Lennon will probably do quite well.
I know what you're saying. But
Davis is. I think Davis going forward in terms of like his balls into the box is better than Session's and is better than Reguilon's. So that would be potentially.
I like him attacking in that left centre back position because he kind of goes more central and he doesn't have to literally cross. He's good. Don't get me wrong. He's good at attacking in that position, but then he's got cover. I think as a wing back, if he's going to be high, he's going to be so much space, and I just don't want to say.
Problem is, you can't have Sanchez on the left, and you can't have.
You can't have them two.
You can't have Session and Sanchez on the left because that's it. Game over. You might as well not even bother turning up. It's just going to be. They're going to run riot against those two. You might. The old saying, "Don't change a winning team," is probably at the forefront of my mind. But I don't know. I just can see Davis being the one that's sacrificed for this game, if anyone. I think if Højbjerg's fit, if Bentancur's fit, if Kulu's fit, they all start. Emerson, I think he'll remain because he was pretty solid. And do you know what? The reason he had a good game and the reason he was solid, and I do think this is true, is because he knew he had Romero behind him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it instills confidence, doesn't it? Because
it does, and that's what I think we're going to need. We're going to need to have a defensively sound game, and if we had anything like the games against Wolves and Southampton, where it was a defensive calamity, then that's going to, like, you know, instill all the fear back in. So it's essential that we get it right, and it has to have Dyer in there. I just don't know whether or not Sanchez is Conte's preferred option if someone like Ben Davies doesn't play. I can understand why he would play Sanchez instead of Romero, but even then, it just makes a whole difference to the confidence of the back line. But I think Dyer helps Sanchez, so maybe that's the thinking. Darius, what do we need to do in order to win tomorrow's game in terms of the personnel and the tactics?
Personnel-wise, I actually personally wouldn't change anything. If you actually want my hot take, I don't know if you're going to like this, Sam, I actually would probably play Dorothy over Emerson, because
I don't like it. Right.
I'm not going to lie to you. I don't see Emerson improving that much. I know he's 22. I know he's not really a right wing back, but just the way he sort of plays football, it just doesn't seem like he's ever going to learn how to cross the ball properly. So
you know what he's like? You know what he reminds me of? Wan-Bissaka without dreads. That's what he seems like to me.
You know, because Tanganga gives me Wan-Bissaka vibes. Tanganga gives me Wan-Bissaka vibes, but there's something about Emerson that it's not that I don't rate him. It's just I just don't see him getting better at the things that he needs to get better at, that Conte needs him to do, like accuracy of crosses, like delivery of crosses. I just don't see him becoming a good crosser anytime soon. Dorothy, however, I actually don't think Dorothy is that bad in sort of his distribution, and against a team like Burnley, where he's not going to have to be going sort of up and down that much. I think he'll be furthest he'll probably have to go is maybe just past the halfway line, really, as a right wing back. I really don't think there's going to be a lot. The ball's going to be sort of going over and back. So I think Dorothy on the right, and then keep the exact same team. It might sound like a hot take, Sam, but Emerson, there's a reason why Emerson got pulled last game. He didn't do much, and I just think that I genuinely think that Doherty actually adds more. Attacking wise, not defensively, but attacking wise, I actually think he adds more.
Let me ask Hustler, because I know what I think his thoughts are about Dorothy. But what's your thoughts about Matt Doherty coming back into the team in replacement for Emerson? Mike?
Can't hear you, Mike. Mike's Mike.
His name's not Doherty, it's Dorothy. Mate, I can't have that. I'm sorry.
You'd rather play Emerson?
Yeah, mate.
Ooh,
that's
the worst position he's got at the moment.
The two players I don't want to see anywhere near our first 11 is him. I'm not going to mention his name, and Sanchez. I just don't want to see them near the team. They're not. I gave Sanchez a second chance.
He fooled us all, Mike.
And he threw it back in my face. I'm not doing it again. I don't want Sanchez back in his side. Unless we're desperate, and even then, I'll probably call up some of the youth team. Doherty, what does he offer us? Like
more than Emerson. That's literally the only reason why I'm saying that. Literally, Mike, I'm not trying to defend Doherty. Like I said, summer I'd ship them both out, and I'd get two new right wing backs in.
I think this comment here from Good Beats. Doherty versus Kone is a mismatch. I agree. Doherty. I watched Doherty, and someone said it on Twitter. He's the slowest player we've got in our whole squad. He looks like when he's running, he runs like that. He's like, one of them sort of runners, and he's not going any faster no matter what he does. And I'm concerned that they've got a bit of pace. They've got a bit of pace on them wide areas.
He runs like he's running through quicksand, and he's not going to get any quicker, guys.
I think he's an impact player. I don't mind him coming on for 20 minutes, but I'm not.
That is a very, very interesting comment, which I maybe 2 months ago would have absolutely laughed at Paul Pablo for saying that, but now I actually agree, because
we've done it with Aurier as well. Aurier,
Walker Peters, and they're both clear of those two right backs that we've got now. Yeah, that's so true.
The two players will be, if them two were battling out for our wing back position, I'd be happy, because both of them are, very good going forward. Not so great defensively, but we don't actually need them to be great defensively.
You ask a lot of Southampton fans about Walker Peters, they absolutely love him.
There's
better out there. 100%. There's better out there, and that's why
I'm just saying with what we've got, we've got now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'd rather have
Aurier than Doherty and Emerson. Quite at this moment in time.
100%.
I mean, you have to just look at Walker Peters. He's nowhere near the England team.
No, and he won't get there when you've got Reece James Trent
in front of him.
Yeah, unfortunately, like I said, I think just in terms of how we should approach the game, I just think you kind of do have to choke out Burnley, and it will just don't concede. That's one thing. Just don't concede first. That is the only thing.
I was going to say that.
I don't care about what happens. I don't care how many shots we have. Just don't concede in that first 10, 15 minutes of the game. and we should be okay. That's literally, it's not even a case of attacking for me. I don't even care if we don't attack Burnley. We should do, but I don't care. If we concede first, there will be very, very big problems, I think. And I don't think we'll win the game. So
there's two major things that we have to do well tomorrow. We have to defend well against crosses. We have to stop the cross or defend very well against them. Yeah. And we really have to be mindful at set pieces.
Just got to stop
any corners.
Just cut it out.
Yeah, any corners, any free kicks in and around where they're going to cross lateral balls in for headers, we've got to watch that because that's where our Achilles heel is and that's where their strengths are. So provided we work well on that in the next couple of days, as we identify that in terms of players who are going to be strong, I think we've got a good opportunity to win this game tomorrow. If we score first, I think it will be quite straightforward. I'm not going to say easy because it's never easy, but because Burnley need the points, if we go up first, they are going to have to come out and attack.
You know what? Like you mentioned, Sam, I think that because they've played 22 games, and I mean, Brentford are 4 places above them, and they've played 26, and there's a few teams that play 24. Given the fact that I actually think that a lot of teams will consider Tottenham quite a bit of a challenge now in the league, do you think that they might sort of, if they see the game slipping away, do you think they might say, look, we've got games in hand? I think they have. If I look at Burnley's fixtures, I'm pretty sure they do have.
What do you think, Mike? Do you think the Burnley will look at this as a free hit and they, if they
Crystal Palace and Leicester next, so
because that's how we almost looked at Man City. We looked at that as almost like a free hit, but the way we performed, it was a different game. I'm not sure if Burnley have got that sort of level of performance.
I don't like this. I don't like that whole philosophy of it's a free hit. Like against Man City, I didn't even contemplate.
Oh, Spurs. You looked at something else.
I did. Whether I'm being sort of deluded or not, I don't want.
You know what? I respect it, Mike, because I
never saw it. No one else saw it. We never saw it, did we? We never saw it.
6-0 Man City. I'm not gonna lie.
We never saw it.
I was just positive that we could get a result. I just had that feeling we'd get a result against Man City. But against Burnley, let's not get this wrong. Let's not get this twisted. Burnley are nowhere near as good as Man City. Burnley are at the bottom of this table, second from bottom, for a reason, and that's because they're not a very good football team. They can be efficient, and they can get results. But it's all about preparation, isn't it? And it's all about how Conte sort of with the little time that he has, how he sets us up against Burnley. I'm sure he's done his homework, or the assistants have done their homework. And I mean, a lot of these players should know Burnley through the back of their hands.
Like Sam said, we have got a pretty good record against. Now you showed me the sort of the home and away record. It's actually pretty good, to be fair. So.
If we stop, the key for us is just stop those long balls, cut them out. If you cut them out and make Burnley
stop the cross,
make Burnley play it on the floor, they'll have problems themselves.
I don't see Burnley out footballing us. Although saying that they've got some decent players in their ranks, and
you know what, they sometimes do play okay football.
No, that's what I was going to say. When I've seen them play football, they can actually play.
Yeah.
But their percentage game is that they have a certain way of playing. Yeah. So Sean Dyche knows his percentages. Yeah. If I play this way, the percentages of me winning are increased. If they play football against footballing teams, their percentages are decreased. Hence the reason why set pieces, crosses, and just defending the aerial ability, I think, is going to be our biggest thing for us to try and do tomorrow. So, let's see what happens.
They're going to try and do to us what we did to Man City, and that is frustrate City. Don't let them have, sort of break up the play as and when you can. Just unsettle them and frustrate them, and that would cause us problems like we did with Man City. So
I think scoring early for us against Man City was a massive factor to how that game went down. And I think City, not that they panicked, but I think City knew that they always had to score 2 to win the game, and City were never going to play for a draw. So City knew they had to score 2. I don't think Burnley are going to take that approach, because I know Burnley are desperate for points, but like I said, they've got games in hand. So I don't think they'll be that desperate to win the game. But if we score early, it will just sort of force Burnley to sort of not play the
Okay, then both of you then put your money where your mouth is.
I was just gonna say, Burnley, if they get a point against us, that point could be the difference between them staying up and staying and going down. So I don't think Burnley can afford any free hits. Really, they're fighting for their lives. If they want to stay up, then they've got to be going into every game thinking that they can.
Yeah, agreed.
I think they're safe though. I think they'll survive. I think that Burnley.
You know what? it's too tight because the reason I say it's tight is Newcastle are playing well. I think Watford with Roy Hodgson, they're going to be hard to beat. You know, you got Norwich down there with what's his name, Dean Smith, whatever his name, Dean Smith. Yeah. He's not going to be nice to try and play against. You got Everton, who I think Everton are in big trouble.
Everton are in big trouble because you don't sign Dele Alli for a relegation battle. That's all I'm going to say.
Same as Van der Beek. You need people in the trench that be happy.
You need people in the trenches. That's a worry for me.
Brentford are in trouble, Leeds are in trouble, and Everton
are in trouble as well. Yeah,
and there's big teams there. So, yeah, right. Let's do this then. Come on then.
I've got mine. I'm not gonna lie. If Mike's got his, have you got yours, Mike?
Let's start with Hustler first. Then we'll come to Darius, and I'll go last on this one today. So, score prediction:
2-0 Tottenham. Done. Clean sheet.
Oh, why did you have to say that?
What were you all saying?
That was mine. I'm not veering away from that. I'm sticking double down. I'm double down on Mike's 2-0 Tottenham.
Oh, you're doubling down as well.
I don't think it's going to be an easy game. I do think we're going to have to fight for this, but I'm hoping that they can continue and build upon the Man City result and kick on.
I'm just my only concern is
make me regret it.
Yeah, I think we'll win the game. I think that Burnley are going to have their joys from a set piece, and I think because they are going to bombard, I just think they'll get a goal from either one of them set pieces or some form of cross. But I'm going to say that we're going to score 2. I think we've seen enough in the firepower of the team. Harry Kane's on and Conte said if Harry Kane had one, he was joking, obviously. He said Harry Kane has to play with one.
Joking.
He has to play with one leg. He don't care.
He was not joking.
I know.
Because if Kane had a bad leg, I'm pretty sure he'd be like, come on, 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Conte even said in his press conference, he doesn't force any players to play. But the way his eyes were when they asked him about Kane was like, this guy's got to play even if he had half a
We've just got to be quick. Like, everything's got to be quick. Like, I say quick, not rushing it, but when we've got possession, just quick in possession. If we take too long and the build-up's slow, it's just going to be easy for Burnley just to defend whatever we throw them. And that's, like I say, we can't be letting ourselves get frustrated, which is quite easily what could happen against Burnley just because of who they are and how they set up and their usual sort of tactics.
I'm going 1-2 because of that. I'm going that they'll get a goal. I'm just saying we'll score first. And I think, it's going to be, maybe we'll go 2 goals up, but at some point Burnley will put the heat on us because they'll have nothing to lose. Get a goal. It'll be a little bit touch and go. They didn't have to
put the heat on us. That's the scary thing, Sam. They could literally just get a corner and score from that corner. That's the worst thing. They don't even have to turn up the heat. That's why Burnley are a little bit dangerous like that.
I think after the euphoria of Saturday, I think it's going to be a bit more of a tense, nervous affair tomorrow. 100%. But I think we'll get the job done. And I see a 2-1. So Mike's gone 0-2. Darius has gone 0-2. I've gone 1-2. We've gone for a victory for Spurs. Let's have a look and see what's in the comment section here at the moment. So we've got people talking about things. You have to look at Trippier at Newcastle. Can you, Adam, and Evit? Yeah, Trippier was doing bits there. Conte is a WB whisperer, a wingback whisperer like Pochettino.
Very true.
Burnley will be under pressure to get a result as they're in big trouble. That simply is telling us that. He's saying, which may work in our favour. Let's see what happens. Sean's saying, take our chances and we win the game. Yes. Mr. B, welcome, Mr. B.
He's on a mad one. 4-1 Spurs.
Thank you, Mr. B. Thank you very much.
I'll get back to Mr. B's comment in a minute. Sean, you're right, Sean, but it would be nice to bring a ready-made one in for him. I think we're talking about the wing-back still. Burnley home have won 2 games all season, guys. That's very true, but they're very difficult to beat. If you look at their results, they don't score many, but they don't.
And also, like you said, Sam, the way they play, if you actually watch Burnley, the way they play, the games they play, actually, they may draw games, but they do play quite well. So I don't think it will be an easy game.
Mr. B, I think Mr. B's trying to do that old, reverse psychology.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because he's Man new, innit? You think you're smart, don't you? You think you're smart. You're not that clever, Mr. B. Come on now. Don't try them ones. You don't want us to win. You know you don't want us to win, particularly 4-1. Mojo saying 2-0 here as well. Yeah, I think that's a 4-2 Spurs from Henry. We might see a goal fest at Turf Moor. I'm not sure we're going to see a goal fest at Turf Moor. Stranger things have happened because we've won 5-0 there in recent history. Sorry.
That was the Sun game, wasn't it? The 5-0.
Beat them 5-0.
Where he scored that amazing goal, wasn't it? Yeah.
Burnley have one big problem since we played last. Verhurst, he's a big lump. He's like West Ham's Antonio. I think he's better.
Bigger than Antonio.
I think he's bigger and better, isn't he? Yeah.
Simply Ace is saying Burnley 1, Tottenham 1. We will struggle defensively and our wing backs struggle to get crosses in.
That I can see happening.
I'm hoping that's not the case. I hope I'm wrong, says Simply Ace. I hope you're wrong too. Yeah, I just think it's going to be a tougher game. We're not going to. The euphoria is going to be about the winning. I don't think we're going to see the same level of performance. Potentially not, because Burnley won't make it an open game. But I think as long as we win,
and this is the first time we play Burnley this season as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
is it?
Got again.
Yeah, because it got cancelled, didn't it, for the snow? This was a game that got cancelled for the snow, so we still have to play them again.
Our home game against them, I think, is in May sometimes.
Yeah,
one of the latter games of the season.
Indeed.
So yeah, so I'm just going to shout out to the people that are watching. Mr. B, thank you. Paul Pablo, Simply Ace is there watching. Sean Hell, as usual. Moljo, yep, definitely see you again soon. Who else is in the house? Good Beats Entertainment, thank you for watching. Dino Dinosaur, Simon Stevens, as per usual. We've got Harry there as well. That's a nice name, isn't it? Angle Matos, Dino Dinosaur, as I mentioned already. So yeah, guys, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button. Thank you all for your comments. You can make sure you put the comments in as well if you're listening on Spotify or any other podcast. Yes, make sure you go across to YouTube and also subscribe to PAXTON Road if you're listening on Twitter as well. Plenty of forums to listen to us, but we want your support on YouTube. That's where we can help us immensely. Darius and Mike, thank you very much. We have to now take this one game at a time. Darius, you need to get yourself a green screen as well, because you can't let me and Mike do this.
You know what? I was going to say, Jack Kinnicky and David and Irish Hotspur told me I need to get a flat cap, so I need to put flat cap and green screen on my list now. So it'll be there soon. It'll be there soon. Don't worry.
I like this because it's nice, like, you know what I mean? Proper. It's proper.
You know what? Next time you should. I'm thinking next time, both of you in a beach, sun, maybe seaside. Maybe I'm thinking like a tropical beach, both of you there if we win the game. And if we don't win the game, then haunted house, outside, dark gates, both of you, same place. That's what I want to see next. Tomorrow.
We could be anywhere in the world when you've got this. Anywhere in the world. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Potomac, welcome, Potomac. You're a bit late on the stream, aren't you, Poto? Big up, Sam. Big up, Mike. Big up, Darius. Mr. B saying good luck. Shut up, Mr. B. I've had enough of you already.
Yeah, he's trying to.
I've had enough of him already. Stop telling us about good luck. You know you don't want us to win because you'll be the first one in here.
Oh, he'll be celebrating.
Yeah, he's definitely celebrating. Reverse psychology.
We're not having none of that. Paul Pablo as well. It's like Chinese torture watching the COYS. Well, I think we might have turned the corner. Let's hope we do. Thank you very much. Mike, thank you very much. Darius, see you guys tomorrow for the show afterwards. You know what it is. It's come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Spurs, and let's go marching on. See you tomorrow.